Well, alrighty then. Hello, everybody, and how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today. I am your host, Romedy, and today we're going to do something that I absolutely love about the Elder Scrolls game. Always have loved it about any of the Elder Scrolls game, but particularly um, Elder Scrolls Online. We are going to talk about crafting. I think I'll probably title it a beginner's guide to crafting because I myself am not that advanced, but it's so cool. It's very, very cool, and it's very in-depth and complex, and so that's why I wanted to do this video. So I have my tank character here. I have Brittany Spears, and as I said, she's a tank. And so I am looking at blacksmithing right now. And there's 6 different professions that you natively have when you start the game. You're a novice at all of them. And then you can gain levels as you craft and make and create, destroy, all those kind of things. And so that's how you gain your levels up here. So this menu right here is just going to be your basic crafting menu. So I can create a number of different weapons, and then here I can select armor, so I can make a number of different armors as well. So let's say I wanted to make some boots, some iron boots. Then I can come here to where I have ingots, and I can now select how many ingots I would like to use. And you'll notice that as I change the ingots here, it changes the level and the quality of the item that I will make down here. And so I can currently make up to level 14 items, and then that gives me better armor, better value, all that kind of thing. Of course, I don't have that many ingots right now, so I can't do that. And then here is where I can select the racial style that I want to craft in, and there's a ton of these different racial styles. Now you start off only knowing, so I'm a Breton, so I know how to craft in the Breton style, but there are places where I can go to unlock these other styles. And then finally down here is traits, so I can add a trait to the item that I am going to craft, which is pretty cool. And this is something that I really love, is the method for gaining these different traits. So let's say that I went ahead and I had crafted myself a pair of iron boots. Then I can come here to improvement, and I can take items that I have, as long as I have the required item. In this case it would be dwarven oil, of which I do not have any. And I could then increase that item. So let's go here. I don't have any apparel that I can improve. But you'll see that normally you're going to start crafting at a white item. And then as long as I have some honing stones, I can increase it into a fine item. And then if I had any dwarven oil, I could then craft the dwarven oil, or use the dwarven oil to craft to a superior item, and then so on and so forth. So grain solvent, and then tempering alloy, and you can get to legendary. And so that's how you kind of improve items. And it doesn't have to be an item that you yourself have crafted. You can take any old item that you find and increase it in value. And so we craft here. This is where we create, and then we can improve. And now you come to this thing called extraction. And you'll notice that in the creation it takes a specific item. In the case for me it's molybdenum, or however you pronounce that, molybdenum anyway. It takes that item in order to make it, and I only have 3, and they're reasonably, at least at low level, difficult to find. So in order to increase your level up here, what you really want is extraction. So you kind of just throw these items, and then you will double click into extract, and I'm not actually going to do it because I want to show you something else that I can do with this. But you can then extract, and upon extraction you have a chance to receive blacksmithing items, creation items that you can use. And then of course you get experience, which is kind of the biggest thing. So for more reasons than anything else, like if you get nothing else out of this video, what you really want is to never, ever, ever vendor anything that you get, because it can always, in terms of crafting, be deconstructed to gain you free experience into this crafting level here. Okay, so the last thing that I told you, well, actually, I should tell you one more thing about extraction. This is where, when you pick up ore in the world, or wood, or jute, which is what's used for cloth, when you pick those up in the world, under extraction is where you come to go ahead and turn those items. So if I had enough, I could bring it down here, and then I could extract the iron ore into iron ingots. And so that's how you kind of do that raw material change. So research, and this is right here what I just love, and this is what I think is going to make the crafting here so deep and in-depth. So you notice that each different item has its own area down here under trait progress, and that's true of everything that you pick up. So you'll notice under weapons, if I went over to one-handed swords, I have 9 hours 35 minutes and change left, and what I'm researching right now is defending. So I'm increasing my total armor and spell resistance, which for a tank is just awesome. I think it's just awesome. So this right here, these researchable traits, is what will go down here into the trait area. So you have to find an item and research it before you can ever put it onto something. And so this is the other major reason that I'm saying do not ever vendor anything. Even if you don't think you're going to build a lot of battle axes or use them, you know, I know that I'm going to use a ton of one-handed swords because that's what I like. So I want to get all of these traits down in here. And then also under armor, apparel, you do the same thing. So pretty much, at least at a low level, what I think is going to happen is you're going to pick up an item, and it might be an upgrade for your character. But if you don't already have it researched in here, you're going to have to sacrifice that item to research so that you can go ahead and craft these items later on down the road in the game. And I think doing that at an early level is going to be a major help, unless, and I don't know the answer to this, unless at later levels you are going to need you know, more progression through your traits. So yeah, that's kind of just my beginner's overview to what you have going on. I think that the researching area, because it takes between, at least at a low level, it takes between 6 hours and 12 hours so far to research, that you should always have something being researched here, I think, is the way that that should really work. And unless you know that that trait already, I don't think that we should be just sacrificing items unless they don't have traits, you know. I don't think we should just be sacrificing items into this extraction unless you know that trait. So that was blacksmithing. And as I alluded to earlier, there are other things that you can do. So this would be the clothing station, and it does basically the same thing, except you have both cloth and leather that is available here. And again, you have the same improvement thing here. Under deconstruction, you can do the same thing. Now here, I can actually go ahead and I can create some so I'm going to refine my rawhide scraps to actually make rawhide, which would be used obviously for leather, so we'll do that. And now jute is what we are going to refine into jute, which is what we use for clothing, for cloth. So now if I come back here, we'll notice that I have 28 rawhide. So if I wanted to make a pair of rawhide bracers, which would be medium armor, I could certainly do that, although I don't know any traits for these, so not a good thing to do, I don't think. So that's kind of cloth, and then also leather clothing. And then if we come here to the woodworking station, then this is where I can build bows and staves, and most importantly for me would be shields. And you'll notice once again, same interface, here we go. Extraction, the same idea. I don't have anything I can deconstruct here, although I do have some rough maple, and that would be the first step in terms of building wooded things. And now for research, you'll notice I'm researching a shield. I'm researching a reinforced shield right now. 3.5 hours left on it. So increasing an item's armor value for your shield seems like it would be pretty good. Given the other thing that's going on, this resistance to critical hits might be pretty good as well. But anyway, so those are kind of the main crafting things. Like I said, there are other ones. You also have alchemy, you have enchanting, and they operate kind of in a different fashion. So I will probably come back and do those in a minute. Right, welcome back. So here we are with enchanting. And I told you that these kind of have a little different method of what they do. And so for enchanting, you build runes, and you have to have one of each type of rune. So for this one, I have a geode rune, which I've never used. I haven't done a lot with these, so I don't know what they do. So we'll put geode, and then let's do what looks good. Let's do Cuoco. And then for the third rune, the aspect rune, let's go ahead and do Ta, because I have two of those. So yeah, so this would be the rune that I would then craft. I guess it would be Jod Cuoco Ta. I don't know what that means, but we will find out. We'll see what it does. So we're building a glyph. Okay, so I have translated the following runes. So Jod is reduce, poison, and then Ta is base. So I guess that's good. I know what those stand for now. So we will remove Ta out of there. So Ta is base. Remove poison base, I guess is what we just came up with. Okay, so that's what I made. I made a trifling glyph of poison resist. So I can apply it to an item between levels 1 and 10. And it adds 25 poison resistance. Okay, so that's pretty much what we did there. And now obviously there's the extraction. You can extract and all that kind of jazz here again. So, but I'm not going to bother with that for right now. What we want to do next is we want to come over here and we want to go to alchemy. And alchemy is pretty fun because you have items, and each of those items has 4 separate traits to it. So you have to have natural water, and that makes a level 3 potion. It's called your solvent. And now with reagents, we pretty much, at least early on, when you don't know what you're doing, you just kind of throw them together and hope that you are going to get a potion. And this one's not. We see it glow red, so I'm not going to get anything out of that. So we'll use our next 2 here, the only ones I have left. We'll try again. Now this one I did get, so now I've discovered the following traits: lower weapon power, restore health, lower weapon power. So those 2 actually have a couple synergies. And let's see if I go to, oh, I can't extract out of here, which is okay. So yeah, so that's that guy. Now what I have left is provisioning, which I feel like is kind of basic to what a lot of games anyway, MMOs in general. If you're like me and when you run around and you see barrels and you have to look at crates and everything and you want to just loot everything in the world, then provisioning is really good for you. If you don't like doing that, or you don't like just kind of burdening all of your bag space, then provisioning maybe not so much. Anyway, provisioning is simple to find. A cooking fire is just about everywhere, and you have to know recipes. And unfortunately, well, I guess I can do some spiced wine. So it just takes items that you have found in the world and it combines them together into obviously food that you can eat. And so this one I feel like is the easiest to do, and it's also the most convenient because there are cooking fires in a lot of places. Whereas with the rest, you have to kind of be in a town, a city, to use different tables, like the enchanting table that we were at a moment ago, the blacksmithing station over here. So yeah, but I feel like that pretty much covers each of the 6. I'm going to go back to some blacksmithing here. And I think that's a pretty good beginner's guide. So as I get more adept at what I'm doing here, I will come back maybe with an intermediate guide once I have discovered, if I discover anything different. And so yeah, maybe look for that. As always, I appreciate you all spending time with me very, very much. Thank you for that, and I will see you next time.